Good day, everyone. My name is Peter Ivan Pinados, and I will be your instructor for today. Today, let us all gonna talk about the identity and subjectivity in linguistic discourse analysis. So let's go in. So let's talk about identity and subjectivity. What do we mean by identity? Identity is pertains to cultural description with which we emotionally identify and which concern sameness and difference, the personal and social. When we say identity, it is pertains to the description of who we are, and uh, culturally and emotionally it describes of what or who what is our culture, because identity relies to the culture, and without culture identity cannot be formed, because identity is a process through unconscious system. When we say unconscious system, we are binded to what is our cultural norms, cultural status, and race. Right. Now, in in identity in cultural studies, identity is cultural construction because the discursive resources that form the material for identity formation are cultural in character. That means in cultural studies, identity simply describe our cultures. Simply uh, uh, identify our norms, our identification of our culture, our status, or what is our sexual preference, gender, or uh, the thing that describes of who we are. Am I clear? All right. Now, the concept of identity in the concept of identity is the very notion of what is to be a person is a cultural question. For example, individualism is a marker of specifically modern societies, and without language, the very concept of identity would be unintelligible to us. I have read or I have watched so many videos on YouTube or articles in Google's. I've researched so far for this, and they say that, for example, if you are born on a certain place and your language is French, and you acquire your first or your mother tongue is French, and you have migrated in other countries, which is German or American, and your language is French, but and you cannot speak, you cannot communicate to other people because your language is French. That means you need to apply and study their language as well so that you can communicate to them, and that is where the applied linguistic is used. It is part of the concept of, it is one of the identity, the concept of identity. You need to accept other identities so that you can, as a person, you can identify of who you are. Another example, if you are Asian, then if you are born in Asian countries and you are identified as a Asian man or Asian people, and if another example, if you are born in the Philippines, and that means you are a Filipino. That is what identity all about. The concept of identity. And identity and characteristics are, for the example is, the identity of man is culturally circumcised. When we are kids, we used to describe men, if the men were not circumcised, we used to describe men as a gay or something, something that is generally constructed criticism for them. But because we used to identify men to be circumcised, right? Am I clear? All right. We have also self-identity. The concept of self-identity is the verbal concept we hold about ourselves and our emotional identification with those self-description. Uh, for example, you think of what you are preferable to what sexual preference you are, and you are of who you are. You describe yourself. That means self identity. And the next one is social identity. Social identity talks about the expectation and opinions that others have of us. For example, if other people describe you as a greed person, then that generally describe the society, or other people would describe you as a greed person. If other person describe you as a strong, bold man, then that's their social identity for you. Am I clear? Now, for the subjectivity, let's talk about subjectivity. What is subjectivity? Subjectivity is subjectivity can be described as the condition of being a person and or the process by which we become persons. It is a process by which we become a person. For example, if you are still a student today, but you are dreaming, you are dreaming for a profession. For example, you are dreaming for a teacher. Then that is what subjectivity all about. That pertains or a process of becoming of who we are. Uh, Example, if you are still a student today, but in the long run or in the future, you will become a teacher. That is subjectivity. And another definition of subjectivity is the condition of being a person and the process by which we become a person. That is how we are constituted as a subject biologically and culturally, how we experience ourselves. For example, you are culturally criticized, and that is the condition, and that is constituted as a subject, right? If we experience bullying, we experience those things, those are subjectivity. Now, for subjectivity in cultural studies, subjectivity is often regarded as an effect of discourse, because subjectivity is constituted by subject position that discourse obliges us to take up. Because of we have different identity, we have different culture, we have different norms, beliefs, that is we are prone to subjectivity and stereotyping. And it is also cultural studies also proves that when you are subjected to that thing, or to that for example, you are a student and you are dreaming, or you are dreaming to become a professor, to become a teacher, or to become an engineer. That is what is subjectivity also talks about. You are dreaming, and that is when you are dreaming, you are subjecting to a thing that you wanted to become, because subjectivity is a process of becoming of who we are. All right, let's take a look at this example. Look through any woman's magazine. What subject position are constructed for women? And look about through magazines that we judge to be aimed at men. What subject position are constructed for men? Describe how such subject position are achieved. For example, let's talk about the woman illustrated in the screen. The photo illustrated feminism, illustrated womanhood, illustrated fashion for a woman. That describe that subjected or identified as a woman. And look how about for the men. The men in the photo, The man symbolizes a strong, bold, and we are in the photo. We are also men also described as a sporty, and those are subjected as these photo are subjected as differences, as identity. We have their different language. We have their different styles, different form of identity. According to Foucault, the discourses of disciplinary power that constitute subjectivity can be traced historically so that we can locate particular kinds of regimes of the self in specific historical and cultural conjuncture. According to him, um, subjectivity and identity can be traced in our history, in our background, cultural background, and in our past experiences. Our history and cultural background lead us to regimes of ourselves. And in conclusion, identity concerns both self-identity and social identity. It is about the personal and the social. It is about ourselves and our relations with other. We are pertaining or describing of who we are, our relations to ourselves, and how we connect also to others. While subjectivity is the condition of being a person and the process by which we become a person. For example, as what I have said earlier, if you are a Filipino and you are migrated in another country, you need to apply their language, their norms, their culture, and that is what subjectivity is all about. Applying the uniqueness of what other culture is all about. And it has been argued that identity is truly cultural in character and does not exist outside of its representation in cultural discourses. Identity is not a fixed thing that we possess but a becoming. It is a strategic cut or temporary stabilization in language and practice. We may understand identity as regulatory discourses to which we are attached through processes of identification or emotional investment. The self, ourself, has been understood as multiple, fragmented, and decentered. This is an outcome of the instability of language or constitution of multiple discourses. And that's it for our discussion. That's it, everyone. Thank you for listening. And this is my references. Alright, that is identity and subjectivity all about. And I hope everyone have learned something from our discussion today. And have a good day. See you next time. Bye bye.